Hi everyone, Nigel Saunders here. Today I'm going to be working on my Schefflera Banyan Style. I'm going to be defoliating it today and looking at the branch structure and possibly pruning it also. Last night I was invited to the Oshawa Bonsai Society as a guest speaker, and I brought this tree in to work on, but the meeting went a little long and we ran out of time to work on the tree. So a little bit of it got defoliated, but not too much, so I'll be finishing it up today. Yesterday was a really warm day, a high of 5 degrees Celsius. It rained the entire day, like really hard. So it filled up my cube once again. So today I'm starting off with water duty, topping up all my barrels, and then I'll drain my cube for the winter. We went from rain yesterday to this morning. Snow, it's very windy outside and there's cold weather blowing in. Soon it's going to be minus 10 degrees Celsius outside. So that's why I'm doing all the water today, because the cube will freeze solid. I've already filled the barrel in the greenhouse here. It's topped right up. So that should be enough water, rainwater, to last me for at least a month. And we usually get some kind of a thaw in the winter where I can top it up once again. I've also filled the barrel in the plant room, and this morning this valve was flowing really nicely, but it's already freezing up. So I'm filling this bucket, and I'm going to put 2 more barrels in the basement so I have lots of rainwater on hand for the winter. In the basement here I've got my 2 barrels over here, down here on the floor. So I'll fill those up. That's my next task, and that should give me lots and lots of water so I don't run out. These plastic barrels here are fine, but I'll show you another style. Over here we have the traditional Canadian ice bucket filled with water, and I've got an ice lid for it. Oh, don't want to drop my lid there. Stay. Yeah, so that's partially full. So I'll get those barrels filled in the basement, and then I'll begin work on the Schefflera. I have finished filling the barrels in the greenhouse here, the plant room, and the basement. I think I moved about 400 liters of water, so it was a good workout this morning. So now it's back to work on the Schefflera. The first thing I'm going to do is water the tree thoroughly. I noticed when I brought it to the meeting last night that it was very dry, the soil. Even though I've been trying to water it in the plant room, it's in kind of the back corner. It's very hard for me to reach, but I kind of squirt water all over the top of it. But I don't think it gets watered properly. So that's another reason I want to defoliate it, so the water can get down into the soil rather than just kind of running off. I think it'll make watering a lot easier. The water I have here is from the plant room, so it's nice and warm, so I'll just give it a good thorough watering out here while it's out in the greenhouse, and I don't have to worry about water running on the floor or anywhere. I can rotate the planting around and get the backside. Yeah, it's not ideal, my plant room. It's way too crowded. And I think, my trees are suffering a bit, so I've got to reorganize it so I can reach all the trees and water them properly, get drip trays underneath them. So that's something I'll work on over the winter, is organizing the plant room better. Now it is very warm and humid in the plant room, so Scheffleras don't like being overwatered. And when the soil is kept quite dry, they do grow a lot of aerial roots because they're searching for moisture. And if it's humid, they'll drop all kinds of aerial roots. So it's not, the plant is healthy even though it's on the dry side. But I will have to give it a spray with soap and water for scale insects, because I noticed some of those on the tree. And that's totally normal. It's pretty hard to keep the trees in the plant room, insect free over the entire winter. I'll continue now with the defoliation of the tree, and I'll show you a close-up of a couple of leaves, and then I'll continue the defoliation process. When I defoliate, here's my leaf petiole, and I cut about halfway through the leaf petiole, and that stops the sap flow to this part, and it leaves a green stem, leaf stem or petiole, and that kind of dries up and eventually falls off. And it just allows the tree to heal a bit better before this leaf petiole falls off. If you pruned it right down to where it's attached to the branch, you might get a bit of dieback in your branch area. So it's always safe to leave a bit of the petiole on the tree. You could, prune right as high as just pruning the leaf off, but then you're left with these long petioles sticking up and it looks a little strange. So I think about halfway is quite good. The only way I would prune back further is if I notice scale on the petiole. I might prune back, pruning the scale off with the petiole. So I'm not noticing a lot of scale on the tree, which is good. It must be just in some areas. So it's always good to catch your scale infestation before it gets out of control. You may ask, why am I defoliating the tree in the middle of winter? That doesn't make sense. The reason is that it has grown enough that the shoots have extended that I want to prune the tips off them to create more sub-branching. This tree is sort of entering a refinement stage now where I'm looking for lots of branching on the tree. The trunks are thick enough, the branches are all set. So now I'm after ramification. If you don't prune these Scheffleras, the shoots just keep growing straight, and you'll end up with these big, long, straight sections on the tree. And I'm after ramification now, so I let it grow a little bit to gain vigor, and then I prune the tips off the branches, and that creates more subdividing. So every branch will divide from 1 into 2, hopefully. So instead of 1,000 leaves on the tree, after defoliation and pruning, when it grows in, it'll have 2,000 leaves, hopefully. And that'll make the leaf size smaller. So it keeps the vigor under control, and you slowly grow your branch structure. So that's the reason I'm defoliating in the middle of winter. The tree is also going back into the plant room, into the warmth, so it'll continue growing. Now these are a subtropical tree, so you can keep them cool for the winter. But this winter I'm trying keeping it warm because it's in a refinement stage. I don't want it to get too vigorous. I want to keep the vigor under control and create fine branching. It's very thick, the canopy on here. It's hard to see. I don't think water gets in there very well. And hopefully, after this process, it'll even thicken up more, but I should have smaller leaves. So the Oshawa Club is a bit of a drive for me. It's yesterday it took me 3 hours to get there in the pouring rain, so it wasn't a very nice drive. I've never been to one of their shows, but I'm hoping to get to it one of these years and show you their trees. The day before the Oshawa Club meeting, I also went to the Toronto Bonsai Society meeting, so that's about a 2-hour drive for me. So I've done lots of driving in the last 2 days, so it's nice to be back in the greenhouse here, just working away on the trees. At the Toronto Bonsai Society meeting, Florence donated some trees to the Bonsai Society to give away. So there was a free table at the meeting, and my confession is I brought home 2 more tropical trees. I brought home a Melaleuca, an Australian native tree, and I also brought home another Moreton Bay ficus of Florence's. So those will be coming up in future videos. I'll be working on those. I felt guilty taking the Moreton Bay ficus home, so I asked around everyone in the club, do you want that? if you want it, you can take it. But no one seemed to want it, so I ended up taking it home. And I really like the Moreton Bay ficus, so it'll be fun developing that and the other one into the future. The other one I did, a lot of work on it already, root pruning it, took a lot of aerial roots off, and it's recovered really nicely. It's growing really well, so they're a good tough tree, and they can take the cooler temperatures, so they're a good ficus for this climate. Here's a look at some of the scale insects on the leaves. So on the underside of this one, you can see some kind of light tan blisters on the underside of the leaves. The top of the leaf looks fine, but the bottom is where they're hiding. There's also some that have black spots, which is also scale. You can see that black dot there. Yeah, so there's different colored scale insects. Some are gray, some are brown, some are black. There's another one on the underside of this leaf. There's a couple here. There's some light yellow colored ones and a darker one. Yeah, so I'll have to dispose of all these leaves after I'm finished leaf pruning, and then spray the tree down also. As I'm working away pruning the leaves off, you'll notice the difference in vigor. So here's a branch here, and you can see the leaf petioles are about, 5 millimeters long or 1/4 inch, somewhere around there. Whereas other areas of the tree, the petioles are really long. And they'll all come down to this size eventually, where you get small leaves, short leaf petioles, and compact growth. So it's just a matter of working away at the tree, and slowly it gets more and more ramification, the leaves get smaller. You keep the vigor out of the tree so it has nice compact growth, and it gets rid of these big long leaves that stick up on these giant petioles. Look at that one, it's like huge. Leaf pruning may seem like a boring task, but it's actually really exciting because you get to see your branch structure. It reveals the tree, and it's looking good. I'm very excited to continue leaf pruning. I've done about 1/4 of the tree, so I will keep going. I have noticed a lot of scale on the tree, so I think, spraying it all, getting it back in the plant room under the grow lights, I think it'll do really, really well. The temperature outside is dropping fast. I have the small cube heater on here, and I've got the radiator style heater on over here, and it's keeping the greenhouse around 8 or 9 degrees in here, Celsius. So it's getting cool, but I'll keep working away, defoliating the tree. I'll have to bring the tree in tonight because I think this greenhouse will get quite cool overnight. You can see in the tree here that some of these branches were getting shaded out by the big kind of shoots on top. And if I hadn't leaf pruned it today, I may have lost some of these branches that were shaded out here. So I'm really glad I leaf pruned the tree today. I'm also glad because I'm noticing a lot of scale in some sections. It was getting way out of control. I'm also cleaning up a lot of debris, like dead leaves that are falling down on the interior. So it's taking a while to defoliate. I'm going to continue working away. I'm hoping to get the defoliation done today. And I may have to leave the pruning for tomorrow. I don't want to rush it. It does get dark early. So I think I'll be able to finish the defoliation today. And then we'll come back and look at the structure of the tree and the style of the tree and decide what needs to be done. I have already filled 1 box full of leaves, so I'll throw those outside on the compost. That'll kill any scale insects that are on them. So yeah, I've got making progress. I've got about, 1/3 of the tree to do, maybe 1/4 to 1/3. I have finished defoliating the tree. So there is a look at it. We can get in nice and close now. So there's quite a difference in vigor on some of the branches. Most branches you can see the new growth, which is green. There's just small extensions, maybe that long. But on some of the branches, here's one here, you can see is quite long. That one. This one's fairly long here. There's a good strong one right here. This one here, you can see it's extended, you know, quite a ways compared to all the rest. So this kind of compact extension is what I'm after. You know, getting more branching, compact extension, small leaves, that coarse growth. Here's some more in here. You can see there's a branch quite coarse. This one's getting quite vigorous. So those will get pruned back, you know, a little harder. And some of them, like these, don't need pruning at all. I've just defoliated it. There's no length to the extension, so it'll just grow new leaves in on that spot. But where they're extended, I'll clip them back and get more subdividing. I did notice one leaf I missed somewhere on the tree. I saw it there. Let's just have a look here. Right here. Okay. There's the last leaf on the tree. So off it comes. Like that. Yeah, so that is the tree. So I will be pruning that up tomorrow. I'm going to take my time, study the tree, and look at the future goals of it, where it's going. But you can see, you know, all that clip and grow over many, many years has created some pretty cool branch structure in there. Yeah, it's kind of a cool tree. I like it. And the foliage is getting quite small on it. It's getting more branching, more compact foliage. So my goal is to show this tree in leaf with nice compact leaves on it. And you can do that if you leaf prune it, if you time it so the leaves are just growing in before the show. That it looks fantastic. But I eventually want it to look good all year round. I want to get the leaves nice and compact so it's kind of a mature bonsai with small leaves. And I think it'll get there. I'll get out the soap and water now, give the tree a good spray. I've got my soap and water, so I'm ready to spray the tree. So here I go. Increase that spray a bit. And then I'll get underneath and spray the branches from below. Spin the tree around. And that should do it. I'll let that kind of sit for a while, and then I'll rinse it thoroughly. Scale insects are little tiny, I don't know if they're microscopic, but I don't think you can see them with the human eye. And they suck the sap out of the leaves and the branches. The young ones can crawl around, and then I guess as they mature they put a protective coating around the bug, and they lay their eggs inside that protective coating. And then the adult, after laying the eggs, dies, the female. And then the babies come out and they start the cycle over again. So spraying with the soap and water kills all those ones that are crawling around. The ones that are under the protective blisters, you need to scrape the blister off. Alcohol helps if you put alcohol in the blisters, but it's not 100%. The best thing is to scrape the blisters off. The male adult does have wings and can fly, so they can be mobile. I don't think the female does, so that's good because that helps stop the spread from tree to tree. Before I rinse the tree off, I'm just warming the water up in front of the heater so it's a nice kind of warm temperature. All right, it is time to rinse the tree off now, so here I go. All right, so I'll warm some more water up and run another watering can over it and through the soil to rinse it out. While I'm waiting for the second watering can of water to warm up, I'm going over the tree, just scraping any scale blisters off that I see. Yeah, it'll take quite a while to do that. All right, it's time to rinse it off once again. Well, this tree has certainly had a good watering today. Okay, that will do it. I did a lot of work to my Schefflera today, defoliating it, taking care of the scale insects. So in part 2 of this series, I'll be looking at the design, evaluating it, talking about the future of the tree, and doing some pruning. So that is it for part 1. I'm Nigel Saunders. Thanks for joining me in the Bonsai Zone.